nerds. Welcome to the GeekBeast, part of the Geekish Network. This is your daily rundown of geek news from geeks like you. If you're new to the show, what we do is we cover the geek news beat and we share our opinions with you, and we hope that you will share your opinions with us down there in the chat. I am your host tonight, Carl, and with me we've got Sintel.
Yo, what's cracking? Yo, this spirited opinion thing you just said all casually, I think we about to fight tonight. You talked about some stuff in pre-pro that I want to knuckle up with you about, man. So
I have strong opinions about how very wrong you are. But anyway, you made. I think we made the right decision of switching platforms, right? So we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter. Where we are not is the Amazon-hosted Twitch, and lots of the internet was broken today because one of Twitch's Amazon Web Services server farms was having huge problems out here on the East Coast, which ripple effect because of how interconnected the internet is, right? Was going on. So what did that take down? So that took down logins for things like Disney Plus and Netflix, for PUBG and the Riot things like League of Legends and Valorant, the Amazon things like, of course, Prime Streaming, Alexa AI, Kindle, Amazon Music, the Ring and the Wise smart cameras, services like Tinder, Roku, Coinbase, Cash App, Venmo, and so apparently, as of an update that I saw a little bit earlier, they cleaned up most of their stuff, but there's still some things hanging. So, hey, if you're on the internet tonight, then it looks like you dodged that bullet, or at least you're here after the aftermath. Sintel, did you run into any internet troubles today?
Man, fortunately, I did not get hit by any of it. Actually, until when I read the breakdown of what we're going to be talking about, I was like, I must have been on some very good servers that had some stability on it. But I know and completely understand how frustrating that can be. I'm just glad they're going to clear it up, especially Disney Plus, because we got episode 4 of Hawkeye coming out, and
are you a midnight watcher?
Up and running.
Are you? You got to watch that.
Yeah, not as much as I used to be, but I just don't want anything. I want to be able to turn it on and it just works. I don't want the worst thing in the world is like, you know how like you get that taste in your mouth for something and then somebody serves you something different. It's like that with my streaming services as well. I want to watch Hawkeye now. I want to watch Hawkeye right now. So I'm glad they cleared it up.
Well, this is our nightmare dystopian future of consolidation of everything. If the one person who holds the bag goes down, then all the dominoes fall. So is there a way around this? I don't know, because, man, it's expensive running these kinds of services. But here we are. So thank you for joining us, everyone. You are here. In a more somber tone, I want to bring up something that relates specifically to the Asian Americans of us in the audience and on the network. So today is the 80th anniversary of the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. And so one of the legendary G.I. Joe comic book artists and Marvel editors, Larry Hama, shared a story about one of the Japanese letterers back in the Timely Comics days and then the early Marvel Comics days, working out of the New York office. So as you might be aware, in American history, when the Japanese, the Empire of Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, things got very, very racist, as it usually does, and they rounded up all the Japanese and a lot of other Asians and put them into Japanese internment camps. Right. So one of the letterers for the comic company, Morris Kuromoto, nicknamed Mori. Apparently his family was one of these people, but he was able to get out of the internment camp by serving in the infantry, who went through Italy and France and Germany in a very decorated unit. So let me just read directly from Larry Hama's words. So, every year on this day, the old hands in the Marvel bullpen would ring supposedly, quote, good-natured Morris Kuromoto about dive bombing Pearl Harbor. I've heard many a bullpenner remark about what a, quote, good sport he was about it. It wasn't until after he passed away, and this was in 1985, it wasn't after he passed away that we found out that he was a vet of the 442nd Infantry Combat Unit and that he slogged through Italy, France, and Germany with one of the most decorated units in World War II. He never talked about his combat experience while his family was locked behind barbed wire, nor did he complain about the discrimination he faced before and after the war. put yourself in his shoes, and then re-examine your privilege quotient. And then there was another Marvel letterer, Rick Parker, who shared a similar story. So essentially, as per tradition, they were making caricatures and artwork as comic artists and artists in general are regularly do, right? So he says, I remember that every December 7th, we would mercilessly tease the one Japanese co-worker we had in the Marvel bullpen, a fellow by the name of Mori Kuramoto. Cartoonist Marie Severin would annually do a hilarious cartoon of Mori engaged in some type of warlike situation, and we'd gather around his desk, and when she presented the cartoon to him, and we'd all have a good laugh. Everyone, that is, except Mori, who managed a tight-lipped smile or took a long drag in the Chesterfield King that hung permanently from his lips, making him look like some character in a B-movie. One year, though, when Marie had him piloting a plane and dropping bombs on the Empire State Building, he just couldn't take it anymore. That was the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. This time, instead of bombs exploding or peals of laughter bursting forth from the assembled multitude, it was Mori who exploded. He really let us have it. We learned a lot that day. We learned that there is more to that coworker sitting quietly in the corner doing his job than we thought. We also learned that freedom is not something we can take for granted, even in America.
Wow. Okay, so he was an asshole and he's fessing up to it. Well, I guess, you know, the overall thing is that you realize that you were wrong, and you realize that you shouldn't judge somebody strictly off what you see without knowing the depths of their story. That's interesting to me that there's two stories. There's one where he just kind of just took it, which many of us do if you're in a situation where you are an outlier in your work environment, right? And that happens a lot. You just quietly take it on the chin and you keep it moving because you have to worry about the safety, your own personal safety, your work safety, earning money. You don't want to risk that. And then there's the other version where somebody got another version of them. I'm absolutely, you know, like, yeah, let them have it. I hope they got cussed smooth the F out, you know, but you just.
And after, you know, September 11th, a lot of our Arab friends faced this same kind of thing. Like in regards to like human dignity, it was worse for Mori because he had served in service of the United States in World War II. But I don't think you have to be an exceptional person to be worthy of dignity.
No, you don't. You don't have to serve to have a basic decency and respect brought to you. It's just more humbling for you to realize that not only are you you're wrong and you're a jerk. This person went and fought for your freedoms as well, you know, and you're this disrespectful. That makes me angry. But at least he brought it up. You know, everybody has a jerk moment. God knows I have many of them, and I will give a partial acknowledgement to the fact that he put on his own social media and was like, listen, this is where me and some other people messed up and why you shouldn't do the same. So I'm glad that the lesson is being out there because I didn't even know about this story. So
yeah, and we should all put aside our pride and admit when we're wrong and let that be a lesson to like future generations and other people that to acknowledge the mistakes that we've made. And it's never too late to at least acknowledge that you were wrong. And then if you can, you know, make up for it. It doesn't take back the hurt that was caused in the moment, but it does make up a little bit at least. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to do a quick hit of video game and media news. So in a teaser for Thursday night's Game Awards, and that the Game Awards will be streaming on all kinds of platforms Thursday night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. So what they showed today was a teaser of the new Paramount Plus Halo TV show. And have you gotten a chance to see this, Sintel?
I saw the teaser.
All right.
It looks good enough. I want my 7-foot Master Chief. I'm worried about scale more than anything else.
Yeah, you got it.
Which is a small, ridiculous thing to worry about, but that's my little personal right.
Like everyone is supposed to feel intimidated about John 117, right? Like he's supposed to intimidate not just the Covenant and the I don't know what the bad guys are called nowadays, the Banished, right? But also like his teammates, the regular Marines, are supposed to be in awe of him. So I don't think the scale is a small thing to ask for. I think it is central to the mystique of the character.
Yeah, I saw something that was really interesting too that I didn't realize either. So a lot of folks know that Master Chief is like 7 feet tall, like 280 pounds or something like that. Something ridiculous, like 300 some odd pounds. Well, anyways, but they compared him to the size of a grunt. And if you've played the game, you see the little bitty grunts that's running around. They look like, little bitty dudes that are like nothing to worry about. But then they showed the scale of a grunt as compared to Master Chief compared to a regular human. Yo, them bad boys is like this tall.
Especially with the thing on their back, right?
Yeah, it was with the little weird ridge thing on their back. I want to see that. Like, if they get the scaling down right, that could really like add a whole new element to the Halo franchise that people may not necessarily connect with, like how big these things are and how dominant like the Covenant? No, not Covenant. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that was the original faction, and then they just
okay.
shuffled what faction they belonged to, but kept like the races, the species. But anyway, that's coming up. Like I said, look for a full trailer Thursday night. What's up?
No, I'm just saying. I just think it's brilliant too that they're releasing it tomorrow. I mean, on Thursday, right after tomorrow's release of the full campaign mode of Halo.
Yeah. Synergy, right?
Yeah. So I mean, that's smart. I mean, if you're gonna get all your ducks in a row, make sure they're ready to quack, and they're all ready to quack.
And let's see. I believe that the campaign mode is unlocking 1 p.m. GMT, and that translates to what, 5 or so or 6 or so Eastern time here. So just in time for everyone to be still at work, and then maybe they'll skip out a little bit early. I don't know. Okay, all right. I won't tell. They're not watching this. Right? Keep it on the down low. All right, everybody, shut up. All right. Okay. So we've talked about in the past that when it comes to movie adaptations of like cartoons or video games or whatever, where there's voice acting, a lot of times people get recast. Usually, Chris Pratt is cast as every single character. Sometimes he's Mario. Sometimes he's Lara Croft. Sometimes he's the L Block from Tetris. But this time, there's a victory for one of the original voice actors for a long-standing character. So, okay. Sonic the Hedgehog, he did have a voice actor for many of the video games and cartoons, and they recast him to be played by Ben Schwartz in the movie that came out right before the pandemic broke out, right? And then so they announced that Idris Elba is going to play Knuckles, but then there was all a big curiosity over who's going to play the sidekick, Tails.
Right.
And as it turns out, the voice actress of Tails will continue to play Tails in the movie. So congratulations to, and I might mispronounce this, Colleen O'Shaughnessy. So there you go. Does it list here how long she's been playing the role? I don't think it's in the article that I picked up, but there you go. You got a primary cast member who is not a face film actor,
Yeah, I'd never for the life of me, I just don't understand putting the importance of a face over the voice when you're doing voiceovers. I just don't get it. Idris Elba is exempt from that because he's Black Superman and he's God, so he can he can voice whatever he wants.
Take what he wants.
Yeah, he take what he wants. But just I just think it's smart that that's good fan service. If you're gonna take liberties regarding story and how things look and all that other stuff, at least do enough fan service so something like a voice can be a little bit more comforting to those that are like OGs with the franchise.
Speaking of OGs in the American comic strip industry, one of the OGs is Garfield the Cat, and he is just been announced as a free DLC for the Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl. And again, okay, so does something sound odd there? Nickelodeon, Garfield. Is Garfield a Nickelodeon character?
Okay, you beat me to it. I was just about to say, I thought Jim Davis, I think is the original creator's name. I thought he was like his own thing, like. Oh, wow. Okay.
So this is another corporate synergy thing. So for those who don't know, Nickelodeon is under the umbrella of Viacom, which is also the owner of Paramount Network and like MTV and BT and Comedy Central and that kind of thing. So apparently they had purchased Paws Inc. at some point. And
Pause Inc. That's what it's called.
That's
Pause Inc.
the managing brand for the Garfield enterprise.
Oh, is Garfield, can that be rejuvenated? Like, I remember, what was this? Bill Murray said one of his greatest regrets was doing a Garfield movie. It's just hard for, I guess, the new age people to kind of attach to it. You know, it's kind of like, do people even care? I cared about Garfield in the 80s.
Right. So I wonder about that with like Looney Tunes and Space Jam. It's like, do the kids care about the Looney Tunes characters? So I don't know. But anyway,
random.
He's free. Yeah. He's not $5.99. It doesn't cost you anything.
That's good. What's his special movie like? Hit you with a pan of lasagna or smack you with an Odie?
There is a trailer out there, but this article says that Garfield's attacks are quite lanky with a lot of flailing. Well, hold on. Lanky means long arms and legs and that kind of thing. And Garfield is not skinny. But anyway, there are a lot of signature Garf moves, including involving lasagna, powerful belching, and Pookie, his beloved stuffed animal.
Pookie! I forgot about Pookie. Oh,
his beloved teddy bear. Probably the only thing Garfield loves, except lasagna and naps and whatever the opposite of Monday is.
Oh, yeah, man. At least you know your Garfield lore. Okay, yeah, man. You're old, dog.
Man, at the library, I was always checking out those Garfield books. And, there were those sideways, landscape ones. There was a unique appeal to that. Yeah. Because of comic strips, right? From newspapers, strips, because they're lengthwise. I don't know that web cartoons do that a lot unless you're reading like Penny Arcade or, like early web cartoons or web comics. Anyway, December 9th, free DLC, if you got that.
I'm here for it.
All right. Maybe we should have saved this other one for Chuck, but I think I'm going to talk about it anyway. Okay. So you remember like last week or the other week, eBay announced that they're teaming up with a shoe verification or validation service.
Yes.
All right. So here's the next step for that. eBay 3D Trueview, where there is 3D rotatable 3D models of the shoes you're about to buy. And this is going to be supported by currently a limited amount of shoe resellers. They will be given access to an app where they can take multiple photos of the shoes. It sends data to the cloud and then it processes it and then it turns it into a 3D mesh, which you, using either an iOS or Android app, not yet on the desktop website, but you can, rotate this thing. So this is photogrammetry at work with things that people care about. Do you know photogrammetry?
Photogrammetry. No, you have to school me on this one. All right, give me the breakdown.
All right. Long story short, it is if you played a recent video game and you've looked at like trees or rocks or things, you're like, man, that looks super realistic. And you wonder how the hell they did that modeling stuff from hand. Well, here's the secret. They didn't model that. Hey, do you play the sports games where you like take pictures of your face and then it puts in the game?
NBA 2K. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like that. So it is taking photos and then creating 3D meshes. And so photogrammetry, what they'll do a lot of times is they'll like orbit the object so they can get all of the angles, all the nooks and crannies, all of the layout of where the shadows go to make something high fidelity. But if you don't care about something incredibly high fidelity, then you can take some shortcuts. And this technology has been in consumer-ish hands for around a decade or so, and it's been in enterprise stuff for a little bit longer, but here you go. Now you've got it for the economy that people care about, for the fashion industry, where you can just snap, 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 and then you can inspect the shoes.
I don't know about that.
Do you not trust technology?
No, because listen, I'm not saying I distrust it. I've just played NBA 2K when they've allowed you to do that, and I've seen the image of what it looks like after it's done.
Yes.
And your Jordans that you're going to be taking pictures of are going to look like they're hot bootleg, fresh off of a ship, off of a bootleg ship. I don't know how that's going to work. Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
So I wonder, I think that might be part of why they're only pushing it out to like very specific resellers who they trust or who they know already have good photo setups and like, all right, take it to the next level. We already know you got that white box, that shadow box where you're taking clean, crisp photos. We know you've got adequate equipment. Run it through here and then give us some nice models instead of just like Joe Schmo out in their apartment in Brooklyn, right? Putting their shoes on the bed and with bad overhead lighting.
Yeah, I need to see it in action. So
It's
we'll
live. It's live
see.
now. You'll need to find the specific listings. I'm not sure if there's a filter, but they say that you, as a consumer, there are already some up that you can take a look at, but you need to look at it through eBay's iOS or Android app, so not on the desktop.
Listen, why can't they give me like a macro version of the lens? That's what I want. Like if I'm a shoe consumer, I could care less about the 360 view as much as me being able to zoom so I can see the discoloration of the threading, see if there's any fraying of the leather, discoloration on the inside. Like that is, to me, is important. Being able to spin the shoe around is like, I'm looking for quality.
That's fair. That's fair. When you're paying these high prices, you care about those details. Yeah.
I'm saying, man, I'm gonna drop $600 on some shoes.
I haven't looked at it. Maybe you can zoom in real close. Maybe you can. For what it's worth, this is in partnership with Unity, and I remember the earliest days of Unity. They were a plugin for web browsers to be able to view 3D content, and a lot of the 3D content was like models that you could rotate around and zoom in. So maybe they're leaning back on their roots and provide that. But again, it all matters about who is taking the photos if they send that data to the cloud, right? Garbage in, garbage out. I don't know if y'all know that phrase, but that's a huge thing in computers where if you don't care about your input data, you're not going to get quality out the other end, no matter how good your program is.
He ain't lying. Yeah.
All right. So let's see. I don't have a good transition for this. Okay. So the day has come. Everybody has threatened to do it. One of the big AAA publishers is putting NFTs inside a video game. Today, Ubisoft announced the Quartz platform, and they're going to be debuting NFTs in Ghost Recon Breakpoint. And they are doing this and this is important for those of us who care about the environmental side of the blockchain. This is on the proof of stake Tezos blockchain, and they're calling it Digits. So they are claiming that it is environmentally sustainable and I believe carbon neutral. And the transaction, it uses only as much energy as watching 30 seconds of a YouTube video, which is still an absurd amount of data and electricity compared to systems that exist already and do the same thing as the NFTs. Sintel, you've got thoughts on this. You think this is a revolution.
No, I think it's brilliant because people are going to be swapping digital assets anyways. This has been going on since before the World of Warcraft days. But the thing that I think is brilliant on both sides of the house, from the house that's creating the game. Was it Ubisoft? Ubisoft, because they will continually to get paid off of these assets that keep getting resold. Now, depending on how the blockchain is built, some blockchains allow anybody who has touched that digital asset to receive a percentage of what the next initial buy is going to be. I don't know if that's set up like this, but if it is, then you could potentially have reoccurring income coming depending on what the asset is and how often it changed hands. So it's kind of cool to me that everybody kind of eats, but this is all based off an assumption that the blockchain is allowing people to get what is it called, reciprocal income for each resale. If it isn't, and only Ubisoft is making money off of the sale, that sounds a little shady to me. I'm not feeling that. I don't mind Ubi eating just as long as we, the players, can eat as well.
Here's where I'm going to push back. According to their FAQ, they do not list anything about any intermediary owners getting any residual income. And also the thing that you are saying that is cool, that Ubisoft gets a new revenue stream, that is not a thing that is new with the blockchain. If you look at the Steam marketplace, people have been reselling things on there without the energy requirements that come along with blockchain technology. And Steam and Valve, the company who runs Steam, gets a lot of their revenue through the transaction and trading of digital items, including images like trading cards and in-game items. And so here's something that's from the facts or from the story. Ubisoft says players will always have their NFTs, even if there's no game to play them. And that's like my big pushback against NFTs, because the blockchain bros claim that things are portable between different things, and you buy an object in one place, it will be usable elsewhere. That doesn't just happen by magic. That requires support on both ends for the export of the data as well as the ingestion of the data on whatever new platform you had. And the items that people buy typically are hosted on some server or service. And if that server or service goes down, if you're holding the receipt, it doesn't matter that you have a legal claim to that item. The item's gone. The service is gone. But if you have the data and it isn't ported or compatible with something else, then it doesn't matter that you have the receipt.
But I was just about to say, but just like a lot of any other blockchain tokens, they don't have to sit on the server. They got blockchain wallets where you can actually you can physically contain your digital asset.
That's right. You can keep your receipt in your fat wallet like George Costanza, and then you can verify that you own the thing that no longer exists.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I see why that's a problem, and it is a problem. But we're still in the fledgling days of using the blockchain as a form of selling digital assets. It's the Wild West. There's going to be some stuff that is going to go wrong. There's no way around that, because we're all learning as we're going about it, right? But I can see the potential of adding continued value through the exchanging of this stuff. And then maybe another 5 years down the line, when everybody can agree on a base guideline for selling digital assets for games. Because if it is successful, I promise you those problems will be addressed if it's successful. If it's not successful, then it'll just be, one more bad idea that gets forgotten about.
And I want to say that concept is not a blockchain thing.
Well, no,
blockchain just facilitates that concept, and that concept functions already in existing systems with various entitlements.
But the internet itself has lots of things that have peripheral devices that function on the internet that is separate from the internet. Like, everybody's got different monitors, everybody's got different keyboards, everybody got different software that plays on it, but we're all on this thing called the internet. The NFT and blockchain can be that same way. Whatever it is that you're storing this stuff, exchanging, storing on physical drives that you can keep, like, we'll have the peripheral devices that will adjust if it's successful. That only happens if it's successful. If it's not, then Ubi will get a free payday off of this.
It will happen even if it's not successful, and it can't be successful without trying.
Right. Yeah. Right. So there's nothing about this that makes you even remotely say, I know you feel a kind of way about NFTs, but I'm trying to see if there's anything or you see anything positive.
I'm still okay. So the positive thing is that the blockchain is a transparent ledger, and you can see where the transactions are happening and who is transacting. Otherwise, there is nothing that I've seen in blockchain that is a new concept that only blockchain enables.
But remember I was telling you about how some blockchain, like for instance, was Ethereum, that uses the NFTs for every time it's resold, you do get a commission off of it. Like I said,
that's not a thing that is exclusive to blockchain.
It's not exclusive to just blockchain, but because you're talking about the ledger, it can make it easier per se. So I think it's cool. I think it's cool because a lot of times when you sell something, it's gone and you never hear from it again. How cool would it be if you find like some rare axe, you sell it to somebody, they sell it for like $20-$30, and next thing you know, you got a check in the mail for like an extra 50 cents.
I've got an interesting premise that just came to mind that the ledger system could matter for. You look at antiques, so like Antique Roadshow, and they're saying, oh yeah, this came from the King Louis era and whatever, and you sort of want to care about who owned it. And collectibles in general, right? How can you prove the veracity of this thing? And that's something where well, that's actually not. So what I was going to say, that's something where having this ledger system can play into this. But the problem is the digital fingerprinting that is necessary for saying, when I have this entry in the ledger, it is referring to this object. That is hard and impossible to do when you are applying it to physical objects. So if you're saying you're attaching an NFT to sneakers, if you're attaching NFTs to the script of Pulp Fiction, the NFT that says that a transaction was performed there is not enough data that can be stored reasonably to say that when I am looking at this physical object, this is the true one that is being referenced in the NFT. It's a similar thing with art forgery. People have gotten very, very good at fine art forgery to the point where even experts who studied artists for decades, for their lifetimes, have great difficulty in authenticating that. And the blockchain does not help in authentication like that.
You're saying it doesn't. Now,
it doesn't. No. So it helps with digital things.
I was about to say for a digital thing. That's what I'm saying. Well, it's digitally marked in the blockchain for the digital asset. So wherever it is, if it is 100% for real, it's going to maintain its for realness. And if something happens to it, you have the blockchain.
What is for real in computers?
Well, I mean, maybe it's a unique asset.
All right, so this is like the Star Trek teleporter thing. All right, real quick. We got to close out the show, but real quick, Star Trek teleporter thing. When you are teleported, is that the same person or is it a different person?
I mean, theoretically, I guess it is. If it's on Star Trek, you're still the same person. It reconstitutes your atoms. I don't know.
Through what? Is it transporting the same atoms, or is it taking atoms from its atom hopper, like the cereal bin that you got in the cabinet, and saying, all right, these are the atoms that we'll use to construct this person based on this recipe that we transmitted?
Well, I don't know if it's the exact same thing, but the concept of what you're getting is intact. So I guess that's
so. There you go. There is no authentic thing in the digital world. There is no true original.
Yeah, I guess maybe. Right. I mean, that's.
And with
we can really. I know. I was just about to run with it. I'm gonna leave it alone. We'll close out on that, and then we can have another. This
is an everlasting existential thing. Even not in regards to the blockchain. Even when we take it away from the blockchain debate, like this is a thing that matters in computers. What is the real, authentic, original thing? And it's very difficult. And when you add something like a watermark to an object, that changes what the original was, because you are, putting a scratch on it, sort of, to make it a unique identifying mark. So you've lost the original in that regard. Have fun with that thought. All right, thanks for tuning in.
If you dig deep enough, that is true. There is something that's changed. You're right.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks, Sintel, for having this debate and chatting with me about this pop culture stuff. That ends our news segment for today. Thanks everybody for tuning in. A shout out, as always, to Digital Click, who provides the creative and the graphics for not just the GeekBeast here, but all of the for the Geekish Network. So if you've got a personal project, if you've got a professional project where you could use some graphics or creative work, please consider giving Digital Click a shout out. And like we're on the new platforms, we got to get those metrics up. So smash that like button, hit that subscribe, ring that bell, whatever the equivalents are. On Twitter, press that heart button, give us a follow. On Facebook is, I guess, like the page and hit the thumbs up button. But all right, everybody, thanks very much. And everybody have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.
Happy Halo tomorrow. Woo!
Yeah, okay. Happy Halo.